Hanumanasana, commonly known as the splits, isn't just a pose for a cool photo op. It's a deeply therapeutic yoga posture that works along the bladder meridian, the central nervous system, and the fascia running through the back line of the body. In this 20-minute bladder meridian yoga practice, we'll open through the hips, the legs, and the entire back line of the body to help you release stored fear, stress, and trauma. So the bladder meridian runs with the back fascia line and the central nervous system. And when we release from one area through this entire back line, it creates a ripple effect through the rest of the channel, which unwinds stored stress from the fascia, from the nervous system, and from the emotional body. So you'll experience a somatic release of fear, stress, and anxiety. You'll experience an opening through the back body, the hamstrings, the hips. You'll create a release through the psoas that will let go of deep-seated tension held in the pelvis. And you'll be guided through an accessible approach into Hanumanasana or the splits. I'll also provide alternative postures in case Hanumanasana isn't available to you. And even the gentle back bend in Hanumanasana can stimulate the kidneys, which can boost vital energy and inner confidence. And I've witnessed firsthand how powerful this posture can be, not only physically, but emotionally. I remember a yin yoga course where we held Hanumanasana for 5 minutes. And at some point I looked around and so many people had tears streaming down their faces. We won't hold it for that long in this practice. But if you're interested in a yin version of Hanumanasana, let me know in the comments. This practice is accessible to all levels and will help you feel more open, grounded, and connected to your body. Not only your physical body, but mental and emotional bodies as well. If you enjoy this yoga practice, check out the description for a link to a playlist for other water element practices. Those practices can complement this one. And if you're enjoying the practices that I'm sharing here, definitely subscribe so you can continue to receive the practices. All right, let's get into the practice. So let us begin this hip and leg focused class at the back of the mat in child's pose. If you want, you can take your knees further out to the width of the mat. You can keep them closer together, whichever you prefer. Let's take an extended child's pose with the arms out long, the forehead into the floor, and the hips all the way into the heels. First, just feeling into your back, softening through the hip flexors and through the psoas to create more space through the lower back. And how this creates more space through the rest of the back, running up through the spine, through the neck. And on your next inhale, come forward onto your hands and knees. You can bring the knees in, hip width apart if they aren't already. Tuck your toes and come back into downward dog. And using this now, we're focused more on the back line and the psoas in this short, targeted practice. So feeling into even the arches of your feet, bottoms of the feet, up through the calves, through the hamstrings, through the lower back, the mid back, the upper back, through the neck. And through the scalp into the forehead, relaxing the forehead, the eyebrows. On your next inhale, step your right foot between your hands. Bend through that knee and bring your back knee down. You can release the back ankle, bring your right hand onto your right thigh. And on inhale, take your left arm up into a crescent lunge. And we're just starting out, so this doesn't have to be some super deep back bend. Just feeling into this, and particularly through the front of your left hip, drawing the right hip back at the same time. Letting the shoulders rest into the back. And now bring your left hand down to the mat and bend through your back knee so much that the foot comes up off of the floor. Now you can work dynamically here, even just working the back foot up. If you can take a hold of the foot with your right hand, you can take that option and then just feel into this for yourself. You can twist into it, you can let the shoulders face forward. We're more focused on the hips in this practice. The hamstrings in the psoas in particular. So really opening through the front of your left hip in particular here. And now you can release the back foot, keep the back knee where it is, and just walk your hands back. So we're coming into an Ardha Hanumanasana, lengthening through the right leg and folding over the right leg. If this is really intense for your hamstrings, take a little bend through your right knee. And then you can work actively on engaging through the quads to create more length through the hamstrings. And you can work with your own range, right? We all have different bodies. And it can feel different day to day too. And as we're here, you can move the hips a little bit side to side. You can move through the spine. Really just exploring this posture for yourself. And a pretty deep opening through the hamstrings, through the back of your right thigh, if that isn't obvious already. And now you can bend through your front knee, bringing the right foot flat onto the mat. And once again, let's come into a crescent lunge, bringing your right hand onto the thigh and lengthening, lifting up and out through the left arm and feeling into an opening, a lengthening through the front of your left hip. Perhaps you feel more space this time. Now let's curve through the spine. So you're reaching your left arm over to the right side of the mat, feeling into this region, the front of your left hip. That's where I'm feeling it. Once again, let's bring the left hand down, bend through the back knee. Take a hold of the foot with your right hand if you can. If not, you're just working dynamically on bringing this foot up off of the mat. And this time, let's draw the heel in toward the sit bone with the hand. A little more. And notice if you're holding your hips up, can you let the hips release into gravity? As much as they will. Your body knows its limits. Now release the back foot. We'll come into Ardha Hanumanasana once again, lengthening through the right leg, feeling into the possibilities, using micro movements or maybe bigger movements in this posture, feeling through the entire back of your right leg. I can even feel it through the bottom of the foot. And as you open up through the leg, perhaps you feel that creates more space up through the spine, feeling this connection through the entire back line. And maybe you feel more space this time around to fold over the leg. And if not, that's fine too. Again, this is your posture. in this moment, your expression and exploration in this posture, in this moment. And now we're going to bend through the front leg once again and walk the right foot out to the side of your mat. So your right hand comes to the inside of your foot. You can tuck your back toes and bring the back knee up off of the ground. Now the right knee can move out to the side. You can shift your weight forward and back. And now it's up to you if you want to bring the back knee down and feel into this posture with the knee down. You can bring the back knee up and feel into it this way. You can come down onto the forearms if that feels better and like you can feel deeper into the posture. And explore the possibilities once again with small movements where you can move side to side and even take weight to the outside of your front foot. Feel that gets deeper into the external rotators, more to the outside of the back of the thigh. And now release the back knee down if it isn't there already. Walk yourself back, bring your heel back to the center of the mat. And now I'll leave it up to you if you want to fold into an Ardha Hanumanasana. If you want to come here, feel into your hip flexors. If you want to explore a full Hanumanasana, you can come up onto the back ball of the foot and then take the right leg out long. Now considering this is a home practice, I don't have any props in my home. You can always use props or use books if you want to take more height under your hands or use support under your right hip. There are all sorts of ways to use props in this posture. I would say if you're in a full Hanumanasana here, you maybe have more of a practice already or just naturally open hips. And now let's come up out of that, bringing the foot in, the right foot in, tucking your back toes, bring your hands to the mat, stepping back into plank. And let's bring the hips all the way down, bend through the elbows, and just open into a cobra. So the legs are on the ground, you're pressing into your hands, you're drawing the shoulders back, and really moving the hips side to side. And now you can bring the hips up, bring your hands in, we'll come into tabletop. And take any movements that feel good here. You can circle through the spine, you can move through cats and cows, really just using this as a way to move the blood, move the lymph that you've been creating, moving out any tension, any particular tightness. And as you're ready, we'll come back into child's pose once again. Your knees can be out wide, your knees can be together, whichever you prefer, into an extended child's pose. Just feeling into your hips here. Feeling through your back. On your next inhale, come forward onto your hands and knees, tuck your toes, exhale back into downward dog. On your next inhale, step your left foot between your hands, bend through your left knee, bring your right knee down. Take your left hand onto your thigh, and on an inhale, come into a crescent lunge, reaching up through your right arm. And again, we're just starting on this side, so it doesn't have to be super deep. You're always feeling into your body in the moment. And it really can be different moment to moment. Meeting your body where she is in this moment. Now bring your right hand down onto the mat. Bend through your back knee so much that the foot comes up off of the mat. You can work dynamically here, working the foot in toward the heel, releasing. If you can get a hold of your foot with your left hand, you can take that option. And then just feeling into this posture for yourself. It's nice to work dynamically, pressing the foot into your hand and releasing, doing that a few times. Letting the hips release into gravity, feeling into the front of your right hip. Now you can release the back foot down, walk your hands back, lengthen through your left leg, and fold over the leg as much as feels available to you right now. Once again, if this is really intense for your hamstrings through your left leg, take a micro bend through the knee or a bigger bend through your knee. So you're releasing and working the belly toward the thigh. So you're keeping length through the back line and then actively lengthening through the leg. You can move the hips a little bit side to side. It just feels different in the opening down through my leg. Exploring possibilities can feel differently through the foot. Now you can bend through the front knee, bring the front foot flat to the floor. We'll come into a crescent lunge once again, taking the right arm up, drawing the left hip back, and lifting up through the right side of the body, and then letting the hips descend toward the ground, feeling an opening through the front of your right hip. And now let's curve through the spine, reaching over toward the left side of the mat with the right arm, and really lifting up and out from the hip. So feeling this create more opening through the front of your right hip. Now bring the right hand back down to the ground. Let's take a hold of the back foot again, or just working on bringing the foot in toward the hip. And this time, if you have a hold of your foot, work on bringing the foot more toward your sit bone. We'll come into Ardha Hanumanasana once again, lengthening through the left leg. And the reason I'm repeating these postures is that you can feel the difference as you come into it the second time around. And how adaptable our bodies really are. They just need our love and attention. And now you can bend through the front knee and walk your left foot so it lines up with the outside of the mat. Bring your left hand to the inside of the foot. Tuck your back toes and bring the back knee up off of the ground. You can shift the weight forward and back. Actively press back through your right heel. Lengthen out through the spine. And now it's up to you what variation you want to take some time in here, whether it's bringing your back knee down, whether it's keeping the back knee up, coming onto the forearms, and feeling into the possibilities with small movements, how that can create more space through your hips, through your legs, through your spine, through your mind. You can let the weight shift to the outside of your front foot. Then bring your back knee down if it isn't already. Come up onto your hands if you aren't already, and walk your front foot into the center. Now this is up to you if you want to stay in Ardha Hanumanasana, folding over the leg. If you want to have the front knee bent, opening through the hip flexor. If you want to come into Purna Hanumanasana, tuck your back toes so you lift up as you lengthen out through the front leg. And we're working on squaring the hips out so you get an even opening through the back of your left thigh. Just feel into that you aren't open through the outside of the thigh more than the inside. You're balancing that out, and you're opening through the front of your right hip as well. I'll tell you, this is not a posture I do very often anymore. I can tell. And now you can lift up through the back knee, walk your front foot in, get your hands onto the mat, and now bring your back knee up to come into plank. And I'm going to leave it up to you, taking any movements that you want to take, whether that's in tabletop, whether that's in downward dog. Maybe you just want to rest in child's pose, let your practice integrate there. And then as you're ready, let's all meet up in child's pose. The arms alongside the legs. Let the hips soften, the hip flexors soften. And observing anything that this hip opening has brought up for you, whether that's some emotion moving through you, different quality or pacing in your thoughts. Just letting yourself observe. Now you can take your arms out into an extended child's pose. Inhale forward onto your hands and knees. Exhale back into downward dog. Now inhale, look forward to your hands. Exhale, step to the top of your mat. Inhale, lengthen through the spine, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold forward. Just take a couple moments here. You can take your hands into your elbows. It's creating a soft release through the back line, heavy through the brain. And now you can bend through the knees. You can use your hands to support you as you come down to sit. Take your arms out. Now an exhale, roll down through the spine, coming onto your back. Hug your knees in. From here, make your way into Shavasana. Just making sure that your legs are relaxed, the shoulders are into the back, the arms are releasing into gravity, your eyes are rested. Just letting your practice integrate. And ground you, anchoring you down into the earth.